Good morning, Team Idaho. This is your Southeast Idaho weather hazard briefing for Thursday, May 23rd. I'm meteorologist Kevin Smith at the National Weather Service in Pocatello, bringing you a more normal-looking briefing this morning. Had some technological issues yesterday. Got that resolved, a little bit of improvement there, and in some ways we might see just a hint of improvement in our weather too, particularly heading into this weekend, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's start with the large-scale picture here on our water vapor loop, and the latest in our continuous series of low-pressure storm systems impacting the region currently is located well to our south. If you watch the loop here, you can probably pick out a little bit of this spin down here over portions of California and Nevada. This is actually where the low pressure center is currently located. Spent the last day or so tracking to the south and southeast down along the coast. Today it's actually making a turn and going to head northeast across portions of Utah and then up along the Wyoming and Idaho border as we go through the day and into tonight. As far as impactful weather goes, all this means for us is continued cool with shower activity, very much like what we've seen for the last couple weeks. Still seeing no large-scale pattern change to really deviate from that. So we take a look at the radar loop this morning. Not much going on. We have a few light showers here down across southern and eastern portions of the Central Mountains. Some activity kind of burning off or diminishing here in Cassia County. The area we're watching the closest is down here in the Bear Lake area and also portions of northeast Utah, and you can see some showers starting to expand a little bit down here on the radar loop. Some of our short-term high-resolution models are taking this activity and expanding it further here across portions of the southern highlands, up across the Caribou Highlands, also including Preston and the northern Cache Valley, portions of Bear Lake, and seeing that activity track to the northwest here across this region over the course of the morning. And I think that's what we're just starting to see here on the loop with some of that precipitation activity expanding. There may be some that we're not seeing here too due to some terrain blocking for the radar and also the radar overshooting a little bit of that activity. So this is going to be the rule of the morning. This is going to be the area with the most widespread precipitation. We've really ramped up our pops and increased our precipitation amounts here through about noon. Most of the rest of the region seeing a relative lull in precipitation this morning. Might see a little bit of this approach the I-86 corridor and I-15 corridor from about Coldwater to Pocatello to Idaho Falls by the time we get into late morning to around lunchtime. But prior to that, I think to the south and east will be the greatest focus for that activity. So let's jump right in here, switch gears and take a look at a projection from one of our models. And we're going to kick this off here at 5 a.m. this morning. You can see that activity showing up here down across the southeast. And it's a pretty representative picture of what we're actually seeing on radar right now. As I step through the morning here, hour by hour, here's 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. You can see that activity expanding here across the southeast. Now, by 10 a.m., this particular model is more aggressive. It's bringing some of this activity pretty far to the northwest. Most of our models are not dumping this activity out into the Snake Plain prior to lunchtime. I think the focus, again, is really going to be to the south of Burley, south of Pocatello, south and east of Idaho Falls. So that might be a little overdone, but this is the general area we're watching. And we'll see this expand into widespread scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms here as we step into the afternoon. You can see that reflected here, very much like what we've seen the past few days. Not everyone is going to be raining all the time, but it's going to be another one of those scenarios with a fair amount of scattered activity out there. No severe weather expected out of the thunderstorms, just some isolated activity embedded in the overall picture. And that'll start to diminish just a little bit as we head into the overnight hours and lose that daytime heating. But you can see reflected here, we may hold on to a pretty decent chance of some overnight shower activity, particularly along and east of the I-15 corridor. So from Pocatello and Idaho Falls, Rexburg and Island Park over toward the Wyoming border, we have higher chances of precipitation during the overnight here, whereas probably the majority of the rest of the region is going to be fairly dry during the overnight hours, just a slight chance of some isolated showers. As we step into Friday, that activity will continue to shrink off to the east, but as we head toward the afternoon hours, again, an uptick in activity as we introduce that daytime heating, some better instability. Models picking up on maybe a little bit better chance of thunderstorm activity on Friday afternoon. Still not expecting severe weather, but maybe a little more instability available. And again, just widespread chances of scattered showers, isolated thunderstorms. Might see a little bit of a lull here in the Snake Plain compared to some of our mountain ranges and highlands. You kind of see that reflected here at 4 p.m. p.m. at least, but some chance of precipitation for everyone. And that activity will diminish just a little bit, but still some isolated showers as we go into late Friday night, early Saturday morning. So status quo continues. The same pattern that we've been locked in for quite some time is in full force across southeast Idaho. High temperatures this afternoon, very similar to what we've been seeing. Highs in the upper 40s to upper 50s, depending on your elevation across the region. Still looking for high elevation snow as well. Looking at our surface temperatures and our snow levels, we may see some wet flakes down here across the southeast, mixing in down to about 5,500 feet. Don't think it's going to be the biggest issue for travel. I think a lot of the accumulation is still really going to be confined to above about 6,500 feet. But if you will be driving during the morning hours over Emigration Pass here, Emigration Summit, also near Geneva Summit, maybe even the highway up here as well through the weigh-in area, just be on the lookout for a slight chance of some isolated slick spots this morning. If we get a good precipitation rate and temperatures in the low 30s, we may see a little bit of that. But looking at the region as a whole, not expecting any widespread travel issues. Improving just a couple degrees for high temperatures on Friday. We might see some low 60s really start to creep in here in the eastern Magic Valley, also up toward Pocatello and over to Arco as well. Still a little bit of that high elevation snow, but again, no travel issues expected across the region as we head through Friday. Now, we told you over the past couple days we're watching for maybe a hint of improvement this weekend, and that is still on track. There's still going to be showers. We can't give you a dry forecast for Saturday or Sunday, but the trend towards slightly higher temperatures remains in place, and you can see we're forecasting solid middle 60s here at lower elevations as we head into Saturday and getting into the upper 50s for a lot of our higher elevation population centers. And then as we step into Sunday, even a little bit better, upper 60s, maybe nudging to 70 degrees for highs in places like Twin Falls, Burley, and Pocatello. So definitely some improvement on the temperature front, still below climatological normals, still some shower activity out there, but hey, improvement, right? We may also see 60s continue into next week. I think our trend in temperatures is going to finally start inching up a little bit, but still daily showers appear on the horizon as we head into next week as well. Keep in mind, waterways all across southeast Idaho still flowing high, fast, and cold. A lot of different locations are near or just below bankful. We're still in that time of year where we're going to need to watch this. As long as we have some snow to melt off at higher elevations and we have this kind of wet pattern that we're in, we're really going to need to keep an eye on our hydrology situation, probably solidly for the next month or so. Right now we have a flood advisory that remains in effect for the Bigwood River at Haley. You can see over the next several days that remains in our action stage, which is our bankful stage here indicated in yellow. Our time step here is along the bottom of the graph. You can see we start to increase over the weekend, and by the time we get into early next week, with those warmer temperatures coupled with the continued showers, may see that start to inch toward minor flood stage. So running new forecasts on this out of the River Center here a couple times a day, and we'll continue to monitor trends in the flood potential there up along the Bigwood. That's it for your hazard briefing this morning. If you have any questions, as always, we would like to hear from you. Use the information here on your screen, and have a wonderful day.